one shouldn't throw stones when they sit on a throne of glass.
Be more than human.
And welcome back to the channel. My name is Joseph Carroll. I write under the pen name J.R. Carroll. And today, as the title and the intro should suggest, I read Throne of Glass. Now, I don't know if that's the most epic opening to a Throne of Glass review of all time. I like to think it probably is. Yeah, when I announced that, when I was like, hey, other booktubers that I know and I'm friends with, I'm like, yeah, so I'm gonna read Throne of Glass. They were like, good luck. We won't be joining you, but happy to see you try it out. And that has been the consensus about Sarah J Maas from the time I found out whoever she was. Um, you know, I remember just, hearing like, oh, Sarah J Maas is, one of the most divisive, authors. And I'm like, why? Did she do something controversial? Did she say something in the public that was really bad? And I couldn't find anything that would suggest that she should be, um, other than what I've heard about some other popular writers, like, oh, she's just a bad writer. And I'm like, and a lot of times when I hear that about a popular writer, I'm just like, uh, I just kind of get deflated. I'm like, really? Because a lot of times I just assume you're just haters, um, so if you've been watching the channel or following me for any length of time, I did a kind of a bracket style of most overrated authors, and I even threw some of my favorite authors. I threw all the big authors I could think of in the fantasy genre, and you know, and every round, a new winner or loser, however you want to say it. And at the end, Sarah J. Maas won. Um, and I was like, well, you know what? Since you guys said that she's the most overrated author, I'm going to read one of her books and I'll judge for myself. And I thought to myself, I kind of started looking at her books, right? And I saw that like Throne of Glass is like the first big book, right? And then she has a Court of Thorn and Roses. I know I'm probably butchering that, and I apologize to the fans out there because I think that's became even bigger than a Throne of Glass. Um, but I seen that she had another one that only had like 2 books out, and I thought to myself, well, why don't I start there? And if I like the books, well, the third one shouldn't be too long, right? And I'll jump right on it same day it comes out. Well, first off, I didn't know the book initially was 800 pages, which, if you know me, you know I'm very critical of books over 700 pages. So there was one. And I don't know how far I got into the book. Gosh. I was in it like maybe 10 chapters or something, and it is the first book I ever DNF'd. It's like Crescent City or something. Yeah, I just couldn't, and I've never DNF'd a book, and that is why I came back to A Throne of Glass, because I was like, I hate that. I hate that I DNF'd a book. I don't like DNFing books. So I was like, well, Throne of Glass isn't that long. It's like 400 pages, 400 something. I'm like, even if I don't like it, I'm going to finish this book. And so I started getting into the book. And I didn't see, the main character of the book is Selena, and she is 18 years old, and she's the best assassin in the world. And we will hear her and other people say that she is the best assassin in the world on multiple occasions. You know, I'm not going to try to do any spoilers here because I know some people wanted to know my thoughts and whether they should read it or not. And she's brought out from these salt mines because she got captured. And, you know, she's being brought out by this guy, Captain Westfall. And she was brought out because of Prince Dorian, the king's, the king, his son. And he wants her to be his champion in this tournament. Now, I don't know if this is just a coincidence or what, but this is the third female author in a row that I've read. Megalator, Jenna Marassi, and now Sarah J Maas. Three female authors, 3 books in a row, and they all have a tournament in them. So you know, weird coincidence, but that just popped in my head. I'm like, what? Tournaments everywhere. But yeah, she's supposed to battle these other thieves and warriors and assassins to be the king's champion. And, you know, basically the way it kind of works out is like to be the king's assassin. It seems like, I don't know. We'll see if I go into the second book. We'll find out. But as I was reading the book, and then I was like, well, while I was doing that, I'm like looking up stuff about Sarah J Maas. And I'm like, okay, why is she so popular, right? And from what I see, she's like one of the top 5 fantasy authors, it seems like, in sales, right? Might even be number 1. So I'm looking at it, and I'm just like, okay. And I found out that she had like a really good, apparently she started writing this book when she was in high school, but her and her publisher had a really good marketing plan, you know, where they were like dropping these short stories or novellas or something, and then like they helped her build up her social media following and all that, and then and after all that build up, then they dropped the book, right? And the book itself, the writing in it, it's, you know, I hear people say she's a bad writer, but like the writing to me seemed like a young writer, you know, someone who's like, you know, right out of high school, who is proficient at writing. They're a good writer. The dialogue and the story itself, you know, to me the dialogue was really cheesy and stuff, for the most part. But like the writing was, I mean, her skill as a writer, at least in my mind, didn't seem that bad. Like I said, I assume her dialogue has gotten better over the years, and the story itself, I mean, it is what it is. But the book wasn't a bad book. I just think a lot of people, it is a bit of, and I'm going to make a whole separate video about this topic in general. But as it pertains to A Throne of Glass, you know, because she's not the greatest technical writer of all time, people don't think her book deserves to sell as much as it has. That is the end all be all of why people hate Sarah J Maas. They don't think her writing skill meets her sales. And I'm like, don't hate the player, hate the game. I mean, she had a great marketing scheme. There are so many books that I've read that are very popular books. And I'm like, it's okay. The book was all right. But it sold a ton of copies. That person's a good marketer. That's a part of the game. There are books that I love that I think should be household name books, and barely anybody has read them. You know, that's just the way it goes. Yeah, like people think, oh well, if you write just the most amazing book in the world, everybody will just find it and they'll just love it and read it. That's just not the way it works. I'm sorry. Like I said, I have some really books that I think everybody should read. The Grand Arc by Richard Kadri. Everybody should read that book, but he's not getting a sequel from his publisher because it didn't sell as well as his other books. Um, but I don't like. I'm not gonna sit here and hate on Sarah J. Maas. Like I said, the book itself, I don't want to do too many spoilers, but there's not a lot of assassination stuff. It's your basic tournament, treachery, who done it, who's the bad guy. But also another thing I've heard about her is trashy books and stuff. Yeah, there's a love triangle in here, but of course there is when in these type of books with the main characters a young female. It always seems to be that way. Um, but check it out. Like, if you are watching this and you're like, oh, Sarah J. Maas, I hear things. Read the book, judge for yourself. You let me know what you think. Hit it in the comments. Are you a Sarah J. Maas fan? Are you not? Are you scared to read her books? Have you put it away because you've heard bad things and you're like, well, this isn't for me, so I'm not even going to try? Let me know. Let's get a conversation going. If you like this type of content, if you like these honest reviews, make sure you like, subscribe, join my Patreon, all that good stuff. And remember, be more than human.